We will have our first live meeting at the Luskin Center on Thursday, September 9th. It's a beautiful center for anyone who hasn't been there yet. I think it's a definite upgrade on where we've been. So, sorry, Tom. And I like, when possible, to share some member news. And by the way, anytime somebody has news that they would like to have shared with the group about members or members of the family, I want to say, please feel free to ask. We were talking about, oh, here's our district governor, thank goodness. Nevin has been in Luxembourg for the past 3 months with her daughter and son-in-law. They just had a baby the beginning of June, and so Nevin was able to go spend a month or so with them. Nevin has just arrived back in Turkey, and then I think she'll be staying in Turkey until November, and then she comes home to LA. So it'll be lovely to see her in person again. Also, our friend and former member Sho, who you'll probably remember, I announced that he was transferred back to Tokyo recently, and he sent me a fairly lengthy message this week, largely about the Tokyo Olympics and what was going on and how financially devastating it is for the country and for business owners who have made commitments. And the sad thing is they had to make commitments long before anybody had ever heard of COVID-19. And it turns out his brother owns a hotel in Nagano. And so they were expecting to be able to have some nice business on, as a result of the Olympics. So again, everything has been upended, and I think it's really sad, but they're troopers. They've got a great attitude. So now I have to put Japan on my bucket list. And let's see, wanted to mention that the district is going to be offering a series of virtual foundation education sessions starting this Saturday. And I assume that Steve Day will be attending. I'm going to attend, and I certainly encourage other members to attend. There are sessions, for example, on explaining how grants work. So I think there's a lot of useful information that would be of value, and I will put up the dates and times as I get additional information. And then this is more of a local news item that, and I don't know how closely anybody follows the expansion of the Metro Purple line, because I work in Beverly Hills. I've been dealing with the construction in Beverly Hills of the station there, and they're now about to start construction on the future Westwood / UCLA station. So that the center of Westwood on Wilshire between Veteran and Westwood Boulevard is, I think, going to be just a traffic nightmare for some time to come. The top picture on the right, my right, it's maybe your left, whatever. The top picture is a rendering of what the station is expected to look like when it's completed. The bottom picture is what the area under construction will look like. So interesting times ahead. So for most people, since, in terms of our meetings, since we're north of that, there's probably a way to detour around it, but for a lot of people, I think it will be truly disruptive, and that's just a fact of life that we all have to deal with. So Ron, thank you for sharing that information with me so that I can pass it along. And now I want to welcome our honored district governor, Giri Javid, who has graciously agreed to join us and to formally induct our 2 new members. Giri, thank you so very much for being with us. It's really a privilege to have you here. And now I'll turn things over to you. Are you on mute perhaps?
Oh, sorry, I thought I
See
unmuted
her.
myself. Well, I am so happy to be with you again. I love your club. You're such an amazing club and do such great things. And thank you. It's such an honor for you to have invited me to do this. Are we ready to do that now? Is that what you'd like to do, Nancy, now?
Yes, that would be, and just for your reference, each of our new members, Benjamin and David, have received their membership kits with their membership certificates and pins.
Great, wonderful. All right, so I don't see the full screen, so I assume both David and is it Benjamin or Ben Fisher? How does he like to be called, Benjamin or Ben?
Benjamin.
Benjamin, great. Now I see everyone. Good to see everyone. How lovely. All right, well, here we go. Well, it is absolutely my privilege and pleasure to welcome David Stover and Benjamin Fisher into the membership of the great Westwood Village Rotary Club. Your sponsors, yes, Nancy McCreary and Rouzbeh Farahanipour have selected you to join the family of Rotary because of your character as well as your personal and professional integrity. I know you will add value to this great club and get tremendous satisfaction by serving to change lives. You're joining a worldwide organization which started over 116 years ago in Chicago. Today, Rotary has 36,000 clubs and 1.2 million members worldwide. You have Rotary family in over 200 countries worldwide. I trust you know your responsibilities to your club and you will abide by the bylaws and the constitution of your club. I hereby declare you are inducted as members of the Westwood Village Rotary Club. Please wear your pin with pride and honor. I assume you're still wearing it. Congratulations. Now, if we were in person, I would ask everybody to stand up and give a big shout to our two members. Since we're not, could I ask everybody to please unmute yourself and give our two new Rotarians a round of applause as we welcome them to our family here.
You're here.
I don't know if you'd like them to say a few words, Nancy. It's your
Sure.
call. If you'd like
Absolutely, that would be great.
Okay.
Who would like to go first, David or Benjamin?
Well, I guess I'll go first since I'm Benjamin in the alphabet. I want to thank everybody for accepting me as a new member. I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you and working with you. I'm excited. And again, let me know if I can be of help or service to you. I'm more than happy to always have a call and see if we can do together.
Great, that's wonderful. David?
Yes, I also want to thank everyone. I'm very honored to be invited into the club and into the organization in general. As Nancy can attest, I'm eager to get my hands dirty and start working on some of the projects, and also to continue to meet everyone in the club here and the organization. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you all in person.
Great, welcome. I also want to mention to both of you that we will hold a new member orientation for you so we can go into more depth and explain more of the history of Rotary and the club and how things work. So we want you to feel very much at home. We're thrilled to have you with us, and doubly thrilled to be able to have our district governor join us to make a beautiful presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you. It's truly my honor, and I'm so excited about David and Benjamin joining your club. I had a privilege of meeting them, and I know they will add tremendous value to your club. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Well, and I'm right there with you. So that is wonderful. I'll just quick pull the slides back up briefly. Let's see. Sorry, they didn't leave off where we did. So we will be moving right along. And now, John, if you would introduce our speaker for the day, Dr. McCreary.
I'm delighted to be doing this. Dr. Chuck McCreary, I call him Chuck, I don't call him doctor, was born in LA, but he met a young lady back in New York, I believe, when he was in school, a young lady from a northern suburb of Chicago. The reason I'm bringing this up, there's a reason for this. His wife, and they've been married for 51 years, is from Wilmette, Illinois. Now, Wilmette, Illinois is a suburb along Lake Michigan, north of Chicago, the second suburb north of Chicago along the lake. And guess what the first suburb is north of Chicago along the lake? A town called Evanston, Illinois, which happens to be the headquarters of Rotary International. So Nancy McDonough McCreary comes very near from our headquarters. Anyway, they have 3 sons and 7 grandchildren. He went to St. Mary's College in Northern California, where our son went. And then he got a PhD in clinical psychology from Fordham University in New York. After that, after some internship, he worked for the UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute. And until he retired, as a clinical professor of medical psychology. He retired in 1995. And then he wasn't too much for retirement, so he went to work for the Greater Los Angeles VA Medical Center as the director of health psychology programs, where he trained health professionals to help veterans who were dealing with a variety of physical and mental health problems. After retirement from there, he went to work as a volunteer for the VA and at UCLA. And he also teaches meditation practices for his local church community, which is St. Paul the Apostle Church. And I told Chuck the other day, because I do meditation with him 4 days a week, that I, among others, I believe, have really gotten hooked on this idea of meditation. So I thought that it'd be great if he talked to us and told us more about it. So here it goes, Dr. Chuck McCreary.
All right, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me. And what I hope to do today is talk about why meditation is useful. And number 2, what is meditation? So I want to do both of those, but let me talk a little bit about the why. The reason we would meditate, and it's consistent with Rotary goals, it just makes us a better person. It makes us more able and willing to help others, which I think is very consistent with the Rotary goals in and of themselves. But then how does it do it?
Nick here from Beverly Boy Productions. Are you searching the web for an experience with just the right gear and experience for your shoot?
Okay. So how does it do it? Well, it makes us a better person. And let me just back up a bit and say, what is a better person? A better person is somebody that is concerned for both taking care of himself, and we call that me thinking, as well as we thinking, and that is concerned with taking care of others and finding a balance. And that's what meditation does. We all have various needs. We have a need for safety, security. We have a need for support, attention, affection from others. We have a need to be some kind of a self-control. We have all these basic needs. And in our Western society and cultures, these basic needs become more external. And sometimes they can be distorted into things like searching for security can be focused more on just accumulating goods and wealth. And seeking affection and support from others can be overly concerned with fame. Control can be overly concerned and focused on dominance. There's nothing wrong with wealth, fame, being somewhat in control. I'm sure many of you in Rotary have businesses where you do have employees, and there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. But in our society, in Western society, there seems to be an imbalance, perhaps an imbalance. Then especially young people have found some dissatisfaction. And what young people have done, they've turned to Eastern practices, often based on Hindu and Buddhist points of view. And these Eastern practices now are becoming very popular, mindfulness and yoga. So basically, I'm going to talk about these practices a bit today. I'm going to talk a bit about what they are and how they might be beneficial. But there is, and I'm not going to go into this, there's clear evidence that meditation practices improve our health, physical, and psychological. They help us really handle depression, anxiety, and many mental problems in a healthy manner. And they're good for our physical health in terms of lowering blood pressure, many signs of physical health improvements. I'm not going to go into that. You can look that up, because I do want to spend some time talking about what is meditation. And first of all, meditation is a global term referring to a whole variety of practices. And first of all, I want to say the best way to understand what meditation is not by reading about it or not by hearing me talk about it. The best way to understand it is to actually do it. So what I hope to do today is actually take you on a couple samples of what meditation is. But before doing that, I want to explain and use some words to describe what it is. And first of all, meditation, again, it's a variety of practices. Mindfulness is a kind of meditation. Contemplation is another kind of meditation. And all these approaches are inner focused approaches. One of the key people that brought meditation to the West is Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he's the one that started mindfulness. And he developed a program. I've been trained and certified in mindfulness-based stress reduction. And it was a method that was originally designed to help people with physical health problems, pain, anxiety, depression. And in the latter part of the last century, mindfulness has been applied in medical settings and in mental health settings and is found to be very useful. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a practice where you focus on your inner life by paying attention to what is happening now. And that level of awareness of what is happening to your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations now leads us to a more of an awareness of I'm like other people. I believe that there is a common humanity. And again, this vision is very similar to the goals of the Rotary clubs. But I am like others, and so I really find a purpose and a meaning in life to help other people. So this is what meditation is, but there tends to be two different kinds of meditation. And one meditation really uses a focus on words and present moment bodily and physical sensations, thoughts, feelings. And that's what mindfulness. Mindfulness falls into that category. Another type of meditation, and we call it contemplation. And contemplation involves letting go of all desires, all effort, all images, and letting go and letting whatever is there, becoming aware of some kind of transcendent inner loving force that is beyond words. And so contemplation actually, if anybody is familiar with 12-step thinking, it's very consistent with 12-step points of view where the person surrenders to a higher power. So that is, so there does seem to be these two methods. Now they're not dichotomy, they're not different, they are integrated, and many practitioners of meditation really find a balance of both approaches. That is an approach using words and images to focus on a present moment experience, and then using silence and letting go of thoughts to focus on some transcendent inner experience of some kind of mysterious, unnameable, divine, you might call it a divine loving presence. What I would like to do now, and again, and I'm very aware of the limitations of using words to describe meditation. So what I'd like to do, and I'm looking at how much time we have, so I want to take us about on a 10-minute exploration of what meditation is. And I'd like to start with a little mindfulness. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just now begin an inner focus on your breath. Pay attention to taking air in and letting air out. This is your breath. And as you're focusing on your breath, notice how it's feeling. Notice the sensations in your body. And as you notice this breath, you might then explore the thought that I am in this body. I, myself, am in my body. Just had an interrupting phone call, but that's okay. Interruptions occur in meditation. But now as we notice our breath, we may begin to notice that this breath is keeping me alive. And see as we notice this breath that's keeping me alive, notice anything that we're grateful for now. And just allow thoughts of gratitude to pass through your mind. Gratitude for shelter, comforts in life, gratitude for support from other people, gratitude for health, whatever it is. And now shift your focus to perhaps somebody that's suffering. It could be a group of people like the homeless that are suffering. Perhaps one person that's close to you that you see now that is having some difficulty. And as you think of that person or group of people, just wish them well. And you might use words like this: may you be happy. May you be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May you live your life with ease. May you accept yourself for who you really are. And may you become aware of some mysterious, compassionate presence in your life. All right, now, what I want to do is transition a bit for 3 minutes of now what we might call contemplation, which is a silent meditation, letting go of sensations, thoughts, feelings, images, a pure, simply letting go. Now, the question is how to do this. What I suggest is, as you're being quiet, perhaps becoming aware of your breath, and maybe thoughts appear to you, just say in your mind, let it go, let it be. Well, anytime there is a thought, and notice that your thoughts can be pleasant or unpleasant, doesn't matter. You might notice, yes, this is a pleasant thought, this is an unpleasant thought. But as you become aware of that thought, just let it go. Let it be, let it go. So now what I'm going to do is 3 minutes of this silent meditation. And let's, in silent meditation or contemplative meditation, what we do is we start with a signal like a bell, and then we end with a bell. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to then play a bell, play a sound, and we'll go 4 minutes because I'm looking at the time. So I know we want to have time for discussion. So I'm going to start with a bell and just see if you can be silent, notice whatever's happening, and then have the experience of letting go of all thoughts, images, feelings, and notice the difficulty with doing this. We'll start with a bell and we'll end with a bell. And whoever the host is, if you haven't muted everybody, I think you can mute people. All right, now if you unmute yourself, we can have a little discussion. I just want to apologize for the interruption. And also, I'm aware that a half-hour presentation on meditation is totally inadequate, but I did want to give you a little bit of a sample, a taste of not just hearing about it in words, but actually experiencing it by doing something. And again, so we did a little mindfulness, we did a little contemplation. Now there are some really good apps that you can get. Headspace is a really good mindfulness app. There's a good mindfulness app that you can get if you have an iPhone, and it's called Mindfulness, and it's produced by the Veterans Administration. It's a very good one. So those of you that are interested in it, you can explore it. You can just Google mindfulness or contemplation and find out a lot more information. So let me stop there. And I think we have some time. I think John told me you go until 1:30, but maybe we have 10 minutes or so for questions. So I can just leave it at that. Yes.
Hello, my name is Steve Harris, calling in from Oregon. I have two brief observations. I'm a veteran and a 12-step person. I've never had much success with a silent meditation, but I've been a competitive swimmer for over 40 years. And for me, that is a very effective, active meditation. Sensory deprivation, look at the black line on the bottom of the pool, concentrate every muscle in my body is moving, hear the bubbles that I'm blowing out, count the laps. It allows me to be in the moment. Extremely effective for me. And the other thing, really unrelated though, I get equine psychotherapy from my horse.
Thank you, Steve, both for the focus on the natural world, but also on active. There is, yoga is another kind of active meditation. I want to endorse those. And I think, Steve, you've made a good point. Find something that works for you. and that you found something that does work for you. So thank you for that comment. Other people? Yes.
I have a question, and I have two questions, I guess. The first one is quick. Are you a Rotarian right now?
No.
May I invite you to look into Rotary, because I think you are a Rotarian already. You may not.
Well, thank you. And I will talk to John about that. Yes.
Yes.
John is a good friend. Yes. As you were all talking and as you inducted the two people, I thought, wow, the Rotary goal is very consistent with what this mindfulness is all about.
Exactly. So if you're in Chicago area, that's the home of Rotary, and there are many clubs there. But now to my real question is, I was wondering if you can tell us the difference between transcendental meditation and mindful meditation.
All right, transcendental meditation. And again, I didn't have a chance to go into this, but there are all kinds of religious traditions and cultural traditions that have proposed various kinds of meditation, and there are similarities. Transcendental meditation actually stems from Hindu practices, and that is a type of meditation where you meet a person and you get a special sound, and it's a sound, and then you just focus on that sound. It's that second kind of meditation that I talked about, more contemplative, where you let go of thoughts, wishes, and effort. So that is my understanding of transcendental meditation as Hindu roots. Very, very useful.
Thank you.
Yes, Philip?
Right. So would you recommend a daily meditation, or for 10 minutes, or twice a day for 5 minutes, or once a week? What is your thoughts?
Well, the recommendation from my teacher was twice a day for 20 minutes at a time. And that's what I do. Now, I would say, since that might seem a bit difficult for some people, start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But I think it's useful to start your day with some kind of meditation. Now, what Steve mentioned was an active meditation. And yes, I think they're very, very beneficial, but you can't do it. Not everybody can do that kind of physical exercise, but everybody can start out in the morning before you have your cup of coffee, spend 5-10 minutes of quiet meditation, and either using mindfulness, there's many of the apps. The second kind, transcendental meditation or contemplation, is a little bit more difficult, and it's really, really it's really more difficult. Okay, I don't know what happened there.
Got off somehow.
Is somebody meaning to screen share?
I don't know.
Yeah, somebody is doing that.
It says Richard Thompson. It says it's sharing your screen.
Oh, he's muted. Richard, you're muted.
So, Chuck, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How do you slow down thoughts?
Oh, what a wonderful question.
Because I do meditation every day. And I've done it for years. And I found that the most difficult thing for me was to have the thoughts, and they keep on spinning. And so I was wondering what's your technique that you would recommend?
Wonderful, wonderful question. And it is one of the most difficult things to deal with. One way I think of doing that is to label your thought and realize this is a thought. I'm not my thoughts. And once you label your thought, oh, this is a pleasant thought. This is an unpleasant thought. This is a worry. And then after you've labeled it, then you let it go. Then you say, I'm going to let go. I'm letting that go. That's what I have found useful. But otherwise than that is, don't stress about that. You know, that's just going to happen. Monkey mind is a natural part of the human condition, where especially those of us that are, I think that we may be intelligent, but we may be overwhelmed in our culture with all this information that we're trying to contain in some way and not lose. And that's part of our culture. So I think you don't want to, two things, label it, let it go, and then not worry about it. That's just the way the human brain works. So I hope that's helpful for you, Benjamin.
Thank you. It is.
Chuck, do you consider prayer meditation?
Yes. Prayer, there's different kinds of prayer. There's prayers using words. And again, there are prayers from various religious traditions. And then there also is what we call contemplative prayer, or some people call it centering prayer, where you let go of all images of the divine and you wait in patience and kind of trusting and surrendering to something that is beyond labels. So yes, I definitely see prayer. And again, a prayer, that's a broad term for, you might even say it's synonymous with meditation. And a lot of indigenous peoples have kind of meditation practices too, but they're certainly found in all major religious traditions and cultures, and all cultures, across all cultures. Is that John? Yeah.
Chuck, having started in meditation through your group meditation, is that a good way to start, or is it? To me, it would be a lot harder to start on my own.
Well, I recommend a combination of a community participation where you work with a group, maybe from your own traditions, your own culture, whatever it is, your own religious. So you're with a kind of supportive group, but I think it is important to do something on your own individually. So I really recommend a combination of individual daily meditations and perhaps a weekly group meditation.
What does your meditation consist of on your daily practice? I mean, that you're in the group that John's involved in. How long is it? How do you get involved, etc.?
The one that John is involved with, it started out of a men's group that we have at St. Paul's. And I then said, well, I've been trained in this, and would you guys like to participate in a regular meditation? And some of the guys said yes. And so what we do is meet on Zoom. Now we're all meeting on Zoom, and there is a little bit of a teaching component. There are teachers that I have found useful: Richard Rohr, Thomas Keating, Lawrence Freeman. And so I might start with a little reading, a paragraph or so, from one of these teachers, and then we merge into kind of what we did today, only we spent a little bit more time. We begin a little bit of a present moment mindfulness focus, starting with our breath, and then focusing on some gratitude. And then let that leading into an awareness of other people that are suffering and wishing them well. And that's called a loving kindness meditation. And then we spend 16 minutes of silent meditation using whatever phrase, or even without a phrase, that works for you to let go and surrender some kind of compassionate presence. That's what we do. And, you know, we have a little bit of socialization too. And we're a group that knows each other. So there may be wishing well for people in the group. A little bit of that.
We're certainly open for more people, though, aren't we, Chuck?
Yeah, that's fine. As you know, our group, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk a little bit about a gender difference. I also do a group that's both mixed genders, men and women, and I found that the women just take to it a little bit more and are just a little bit more comfortable with this letting go. And the women, I found they can do 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I can't get our men's group to be more than 16 minutes. And that's with John's prodding us to be a little bit longer. But, you know, the men tend to say, no, we got to get going. You know, we're busy. And 16 minutes is the maximum. I don't know if that's a universal gender difference, but I have noticed that. Some of you are still muted, and so if you have a question.
Oops, I'm muted. Vicki, Marcia, you had your hand up.
I was just going to ask about the bell. It was very soothing when you started it off. I was wondering if that's in a certain key or something, a certain, you know, what that bell was.
That bell is from an app that I have, the World Community for Christian Meditation, wccm.org. And that is, that's a bell that comes with that app. Yeah, you know, other people will use music to begin and end their meditation. And that actually also works out very well. So when I'm doing a longer meditation, teaching a longer meditation, I might use some music to begin and end it. People seem to prefer either something as simple as a bell or music. Doesn't really matter. It's just, it's a good way. It's interesting that music contributes to a kind of a sense of peace and tranquility. And that bell does too.
You had your hand up. Kitty, you had your hand up. Oh, okay. Vicki, you have your hand up, I see. You're on mute.
Vicki, you're muted.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation. Since I wrote my dissertation in part on the accumulative effects of meditation, I did it actually at UCLA. I believe so much in meditation, all sorts of meditations. Transcendental meditation was the one we used with the cardiac rehab patients at UCLA, and found it to be more effective than exercise or even dietary changes, than meditating on a daily basis. There were far fewer recurring heart problems. So I wanted to mention that in support of your presentation. And also, for those of you that are interested in, Richard Rohr is wonderful. If you're interested in a more secular approach to meditation on a weekly basis, my meditation guru is Rick Hanson, Hanson, out of Berkeley. He does a free meditation every Wednesday night on Zoom at 6 o'clock. And then he does a wonderful talk at 6:45 till about 7:30. And I just can't too highly recommend him, because he's been very supportive and helpful to the global community in creating peace through meditation.
You know, thank you, Vicki. That is a wonderful resource. There's a really another Inside LA is another good resource. There's really a lot of good resources. If you Headspace is very popular now. The only problem that I have with Headspace is at least after 10 sessions, they begin to charge you. But I think Dr. Hanson's meditation is free, and there are many others that are free. But I think it's useful to combine your own individual meditation with some community involvement.
I do as well.
Great idea. Do we have more questions? John?
Yeah, I don't want to hog the questions here, but Chuck, can you say a little more about mantras and the importance of mantras, if they're important?
Well, you know, there's debate about how important a mantra is. I find a mantra very important because I have too many distractions. But some people say a mantra is just a way to deal with distractions. That is, you use a mantra, which is a sacred word or phrase, to let go of images, thoughts. And now there are some meditators that simply focus on their breath or something simple like that and may not use a mantra. I think it's important to find what works best for you. I find myself a mantra very valuable. I use a mantra called Maranatha, which is an Aramaic term. And it's a very ancient Aramaic term, and it fits in with my tradition, my Christian tradition. And it just means come Lord. But you don't get lost. Sometimes you don't want a mantra that has too much meaning to it, because then that just triggers thoughts. So it's useful to find a mantra. And if you notice in transcendental meditation, there's no meaning to the sound. It's just a sound, because you're trying to let go of thoughts.
Thank you.
Gordon.
Got a question. How much time or how many times would you do this before you would actually realize or be able to say, oh, this is really good for me, or to realize, to notice some improvement or whatever it is you would get out of it?
Yeah, and what would be improvement? Now, see, improvement would be your own sense of yourself as a more patient, loving, compassionate person. That's improvement. Now, your question is how much time does it take to get there? I think that varies with the individual. For some people, it's 1 week, and for some people, it's 10 years. I don't know, but I think it's a gradual improvement. And look at the parallel with exercise. Well, when do you begin to feel the benefits of exercise, physical exercise? Well, you know, maybe you'll feel some benefits, you know, right away in a week, you know, you start feeling better. But maybe it often takes a long time. So most people would say it takes 6 months of regular practice to begin to kind of feel the benefits of various kinds of meditation. But certainly Jon Kabat-Zinn, in his mindfulness-based stress reduction, working with patients, and in a few weeks, there was a benefit in terms of physical health improvements. And so some of the objective research shows lowering blood pressure, raising heart rate variability, even changes in brain functioning occur within, 6 or 7 weeks.
Interesting. Dr. McCreary, thank you so much for being with us today. Obviously, your talk generated a lot of interest, and I'm sure that our members will have more questions. As a token of appreciation for your sharing your time with us today, we will be making a donation to the Westwood branch of the Los Angeles Public Library in your honor. And I can see that we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more yet to learn. So, John, I love that you're doing this group. I think it's wonderful. And by the way, before we close, I do want to welcome again our 2 new members, Benjamin and David. It's great to have you with us. We're really thrilled to have you in the family. And thank you again to Governor Javid for joining us to officially make you members. So I know we ran a bit over and some people may be pressed for time, but again, I thank you all for your patience, and it was wonderful to meet you, Dr. McCreary.
Well, thank you very much. And it was a pleasure spending this time with you.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week. We'll meet again next week. The
Bye-bye.
29th, believe it, it's already the end of July next week. So we will be meeting virtually until September 9th, when we will have our first meeting at the Luskin Center. So have a great week, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.